The Paraguay national football team is controlled by the Paraguayan Football Association and represents Paraguayan men's international football competitions. Paraguay is a member of CONMEBOL. The Albirroja has qualified for 8 FIFA World Cup competitions and has reached the second round of the competition on 4 occasions. A regular participant at the Copa América, Paraguay have been crowned champions of the competition on 2 occasions. Paraguay's highest FIFA World Rankings is 8th and lowest is 103, and was awarded second place with Best Move of the Year in 1996. The national team's most successful period was under the coaching of Argentine Gerardo Martino, who was awarded with the South American Coach of the Year in 2007 and took Paraguay to the quarter-final stages of a FIFA World Cup competition for the first time in history and also to the final of the 2011 Copa América, where Paraguay finished as runners-up. In the entire national team's history at the FIFA World Cup, both Carlos Gamarra and José Luis Chilavert hold the distinction of being selected as part of the All-Star team, being for the 1998 edition. Paulo da Silva holds the most amount of appearances for the national team with 116 and Roque Santa Cruz is the all-time leading goal scorer with 29 goals. History: the beginning. Soon after the introduction of football in Paraguay by Williams Parts, the Liga Paraguaya de Fútbol was created in 1906. The first national football team was organized in 1910 when an invitation by the Argentine club Arcules of Corrientes was received to play a friendly match. Members of that first national team were F. Melia N., G. Almeida, A. Rodriguez, M. Barrios, P. Samaniego, J. Mora N., Z. Gadia, D. Andrini, C. Menaporta, B. Villamere, M. Raz and E. Erico. The match ended in a 0-0 draw. Because of the increasing number of invitations to play matches and international tournaments, the Asociación Paraguaya de Fútbol decided to officially create the national team and select the striped red and white jerseys that until this date remain as the official colors. In late 1919 Paraguay accepted the invitation to play the 1921 Copa América and in order to prepare for that occasion a number of friendly matches were played between 1919 and the start of the tournament in 1921. The first of those friendly matches was a 5-1 loss against Argentina, and it marked the first international game by the Paraguayan national football team. When the 1921 Copa América finally arrived, Paraguay surprised everybody by beating then 3-time South American champions Uruguay by 2-1, being this the first match in an official competition for the Paraguayan football team. Paraguay eventually finished fourth in the tournament and became a regular participant of the tournament for the next editions. In 1930 Paraguay participated in the first World Cup, organized by Uruguay. In the first round, Paraguay debuted and lost to the United States, to then defeat Belgium with a goal by Luis Vargas +/- Only one team was to advance from the group stage, and the US left Paraguay behind. First taste of success: after good participations in the Copa América tournaments of 1929, 1947 and 1949, Paraguay was ready for their next World Cup competition. The return to the World Cup was in 1950, where Paraguay faced Sweden and Italy in Group 3. Paraguay failed to advance to the next round after a 2-2 draw against Sweden and a 2-0 loss against Italy. The first big success came in 1953 when Paraguay won the Copa América disputed in Peru. In their road to the championship, Paraguay defeated Chile, Bolivia and Brazil, and tied against Ecuador, Peru and Uruguay. Since Paraguay and Brazil were tied in points at the end of the tournament, a final playoff match was played between them, with Paraguay winning the final by 3-2. Key players of the campaign included Angel Berni, Heriberto Herrera and Ruba N. Fernandez. The coach was Manuel Flitters Solich. For the 1958 World Cup, Paraguay surprisingly qualified ahead of Uruguay with a team that contained a formidable attacking lineup with stars such as Juan Bautista Arguin Cortero, José Parodi, Juan Romero, Caricano Ra and Florencio Amarilla. In their first game in Sweden, Paraguay were 3-2 up against France in a game they lost 7-3. A 3-2 win over Scotland and a 3-3 draw with Yugoslavia saw Paraguay finish third in their group. The departure of several of their stars for European football resulted in a weakening of Paraguay's football fortune somewhat, but they were only edged out by Mexico in the 1962 qualifiers. More continental success, Paraguay fell short in subsequent World Cup qualifying campaigns, but Copa América success in 1979 shored up Paraguay as a solid player on the continent. The 1979 Copa América was won by Paraguay after finishing first in Group C with 2 wins and 2 draws. In the semi-finals Paraguay defeated Brazil by an aggregate score of 4-3. In the finals, Paraguay defeated Chile by an aggregate score of 3-1 to claim its second continental crown. Players such as Julio Cesar Romero, Carlos Alberto Quiz, Alicio Sololind, Roberto Pérez, Hugo Ricardo Talavera and Eugenio Morel were an important part of the team, coached by Ranulfo Miranda. Paraguay ended a 28-year absence from the World Cup in 1986 with a team starring Roberto Fernandez in goal, Cesar Zabala, Roger Leo Delgado and Juan Bautista Torrales in defense, Jorge Amado Nunes and Vladimiro Scatina in midfield. Midfield playmaker Romerito and strikers Roberto Cabal ±, Ramon Angel Maria Hicks and Rolando Chilavert. In first-round matches, Paraguay defeated Iraq and then tied Mexico and Belgium. They reached the second round where they were beaten 3-0 by England. The Golden Generation, a drought followed once again, as Paraguay failed to reach Italy 1990 and US 1994 World Cups. In 1992, Paraguay won the South American Pre-Olympic Tournament, which guaranteed a spot in the 1992 Summer Olympics football competition. In the Olympics, Paraguay finished second in its group and were eliminated by Ghana in the quarter-finals. The most important aspect of that Paraguay team was the emergence of new young players like Carlos Gamarra, Celso Ayala, José Luis Chilavert, Francisco Arce and José Cardozo, which became part of the golden generation that led Paraguay to 3 straight World Cups and good performances in continental competitions, establishing Paraguay as one of the top teams in South America alongside Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. This new generation of players helped end the World Cup drought in grand fashion, as the Albirroja reached the France 1998 World Cup by qualifying in second place in South America behind Argentina. The first-round matches were against Bulgaria, Spain, and Nigeria. Paraguay qualified to the second round to be defeated in a thrilling match against hosts and eventual world champions France. France only scored through Laurent Blanc in the 114th minute, during the second half of overtime. Paraguay's central defending duo and goalkeeper José Luis Chilavert was selected for the All-Star World Cup team. 2002 FIFA World Cup. Paraguay came into the 2002 FIFA World Cup tournament with most of their players from France '98. For the first time in a major competition the number 9 was issued to 20-year-old Roque Santa Cruz, as José Luis Chilavert would captain the Albirroja at the tournament. Italian coach Ser Maldini would also take with him Diego Gavilla N, Julio Zar Series, Nelson Cuevas, Carlos Bonet and Justo Villa to the tournament, young players in their early 20s who had ideally been brought into the squad to make way after the near-future retirements of José Luis Chilavert, Ricardo Taverelli, Francisco Arce, Celso Ayala, Estanislas Trué and Guido Alvarenga. Maldini's appointing as coach, which had taken place in January 2002, had caused controversy as domestic managers were overlooked. Maldini nonetheless had the support of goalkeeper José Luis Chilavert and several other senior players. Maldini would become the oldest coach at the 2002 FIFA World Cup tournament, with the age of 70. His son, Paolo Maldini, captained Italy at the same tournament. Paraguay were drawn into Group B with Spain, South Africa and Slovenia. The Albirroja would face South Africa in their opening group stage match on June 2 at the Busan Isiad main stadium in South Korea. Paraguay were without goalkeeper and captain José copyright Luis Chilavert for their first match, as he had spat on Brazil's Roberto Carlos during the qualification campaign, an action which caused FIFA to give him a full-match suspension which forced him to watch Paraguay's opening fixture against South Africa from the stands. Paraguay commenced with match with Ricardo Tavarelli as goalkeeper and Carlos Gamarra as captain. Paraguay were presented with a free kick in the 39th minute, which was taken by Francisco Arce and eventually headed into the net by Roque Santa Cruz. Arce himself took another free kick in the 55th minute during the second half, underlining his accuracy with a dead ball, after making it 2-0. South Africa replied with 2 goals during the last 30 minutes of the fixture to end the tie at 2-2. With the return of Chilavert as captain and goalkeeper, Paraguay faced Spain in their next fixture on June 7 at the FIFA World Cup Stadium. In the 10th minute, Francisco Arce's shot on goal took a deflection off of Spanish defender Carles Puyol and Paraguay found themselves 1-0 in front. In the second half, Spain's Fernando Morientes would score a double and their captain Fernando Hierro would also convert a penalty to defeat Paraguay 3-1. The result obliged Paraguay to gain 3 points from their next fixture in order to advance from the group stage. Before the match had commenced, Chilavert had vowed to score against Spain if Paraguay would receive a free kick within range, and after conceding 2 goals from Morientes, Chilavert almost redeemed himself with a good free kick attempt, but the shot was saved by Iker Casillas in the 78th minute. Prior to Paraguay's third group stage fixture against Slovenia, they were required to win by a margin of 3 goals in order to go through to the round of 16. On June 12, the two sides faced each other at the FIFA World Cup Stadium, which saw Carlos Humberto Perez receive his second yellow card in the 22nd minute and Paraguay eventually conceded a goal just as the first half concluded. In the second half, Nelson Cuevas was substituted onto the field for José copyright Cardoso in the 61st minute and would level the scores in the 65th minute. Jorge Luis Campos scored with a low long-range strike to put Paraguay ahead in the 73rd minute as Slovenia would then be reduced to 10 men after Nasr Jaoui was red-carded in the 81st minute. Nelson Cuevas would then score Paraguay's third goal with a left-footed strike in the 84th minute to win the match at 3-1. Cuevas was ultimately awarded as the man of the match. Spain had defeated South Africa 3-2, meaning that although Paraguay and South Africa had finished with 4 points each, the Albirroja would progress due to goal difference. After the match, Captain José copyright Luis Chilavert stated that he was proud of his team and believed that they could accomplish a lot more. Paraguay were then drawn against Germany at the round of 16 stages. The two sides faced each other on June 15, which saw star striker Roque Santa Cruz substituted off of the field in the 29th minute due to injury. Germany, who had been the more dominant side throughout the match, eventually scored in the 88th minute to win the match after Oliver Neuville netted past Chilavert after receiving the ball which was crossed into him from the wing. Roberto Acua ±A would also receive his marching orders in the 92nd minute, receiving his second yellow card. Incident between José copyright Luis Chilavert and Roque Santa Cruz Ontario June 10, 2013. It was reported that José copyright Luis Chilavert had stated that Roque Santa Cruz had pretended to be injured in order to miss the match against Germany at the round of 16 stage of the 2002 FIFA World Cup. Chilavert claimed that this was because Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who at the time was vice president of Bayern Munich, had visited the hotel that Paraguay was staying at and had apparently told Santa Cruz not to play against Germany. Francisco Arce defended Santa Cruz, informing that Chilavert comes out to say stupid things every now and then. Don't believe him. Roque is the most professional person that I have ever met in my time in the national team. He is a man that doesn't have a stain in any place. Roque Santa Cruz himself then stated to Paraguay's Telefuturo that Chilavert's comments were false because they were stated more than 10 years after the incident. Santa Cruz also stated that what had been said was painful because alongside Chilavert he had shared many experiences but the people had seen Santa Cruz play and were aware of his professionalism. 2006 FIFA World Cup Qualification, Paraguay began the 2006 FIFA World Cup qualification with 3 wins in their first 4 fixtures in 2003. Having been thrashed 4-1 by Peru in Lima in round 1 on September 6, 2003, Paraguay would defeat Uruguay with the same result at home 4 days later, with José Cardoso netting a hat-trick. Cardoso, who scored in Paraguay's next fixture in November, tallied 4 goals in 4 matches. 2006 FIFA World Cup. The Uruguayan Aníbal Ruiz took with him 8 European-based players and 11 South American-based players, including captain Carlos Gamarra, to Germany for the 2006 tournament. Paraguay were without experienced striker José Cardoso, who had finished equal second in the CONMEBOL qualification with 7 goals and had been named in the original squad, was injured during training sessions and replaced by Genoa striker Dante La Cubed Pez. This was Paraguay's 3rd consecutive FIFA World Cup tournament and the squad was expected to advance from beyond the group stage, given the experienced players within the side. Carlos Gamarra, Roque Santa Cruz, Nelson Cuevas, Carlos Bonet, Carlos Humberto Pérez, Diego Gavila N., Dennis Caniza, Julio Car Copyright Czar Car Series and Roberto Aqua ± had already represented Paraguay at previous FIFA World Cup tournaments. Both Roberto Aqua ± and Carlos Gamarra were participating in their 3rd consecutive FIFA World Cup competition, and Gamarra shared the distinction of having also represented the Paraguay national under-23 football team at both the 1992 Summer Olympics and the 2004 Summer Olympics, the latter in which Apermil Dgar Baratu and Julio Car Copyright Zarmanza had also participated. The latter 2 were also selected in the 23-man squad for Germany. Paraguay were drawn into Group B alongside England, Sweden and Trinidad and Tobago. Paraguay faced England in their opening group stage match on June 10 in Frankfurt. After just 3 minutes, David Beckham had taken a long-distance free kick which landed in England's 18-yard box and the ball was eventually headed into England's goal after coming off of Carlos Gamarra, who became one of 4 players to register an own goal at the tournament. Just moments later, goalkeeper Justo Villa was replaced by Aldo Barbadella in the 8th minute after damaging his leg attempting a sliding clearance. Villa left the field in tears and was subsequently sidelined for the rest of the tournament. Paraguay had started with Roque Santa Cruz and Nelson Gerardo Valdez up front and also maintained a strong midfield with Carlos Bonet, Christian Riveros, Carlos Humberto Pérez and Roberto Aqua ± However, England managed to hold on to their 1-0 lead to earn a victory. With Sweden and Trinidad and Tobago having drawn, Paraguay was required to gain at least 1 point in their next fixture in order to avoid elimination. They then faced Sweden on June 15 in Berlin in a match which was ultimately decided in the 89th minute when Frederico Ljungberg headed past Aldo Barbadella, effectively eliminated Paraguay after just 2 group stage matches without the Albirroja scoring a single goal. Paraguay's only compensation came in their 3rd and last group stage fixture on against Trinidad and Tobago on June 20. After Brent Sancho had netted an own goal and given Paraguay the lead by half-time, Nelson Cuevas was substituted onto the field in the 66th minute for Nelson Gerardo and, with a 1-2 touch with Roque Santa Cruz, Cuevas was able to score in the 86th minute in Paraguay's 2-0 victory. Paraguay finished in 3rd place of their respective group with 3 points and a 2-2 for and against goal difference. Paraguay's group stage elimination made them the only South American national team which did not advance beyond the first round, with Argentina, Brazil and Ecuador making it to the round of 16 stage of the competition. Upon the conclusion of Paraguay's 2006 FIFA World Cup campaign, Aníbal Ruiz resigned as head coach and Raúl Vicente Amarilla was assigned as the interim coach, and Carlos Gamarra, who had participated in his 10th major competition for Paraguay, retired from international football. 2007 Euro 2009, Paraguay's national squad underwent a major transition after Germany 2006 because of the retirement of key players such as Carlos Gamarra, Francisco Arce, Celso Ayala, and goalkeeper José Luis Chilavert. Paraguay's under-20 side had won the Milk Cup in 2002, 2003 and 2006, and players such as Nelson Gerardo Valdez, Eliano Torres, Christian Riveros, Julio dos Santos, Jose Copyright Montiel, Permil de Gar Barreto and Oscar Cardoso were thought key to the rebuilding of the team. In 2007, Argentine Gerardo Martino was designated as head coach. The former Newell's Old Boys skipper's coaching career had blossomed in Paraguay, where he formerly coached Club Libertad and Cerro Porte +/-0. 2007 Copa América copyright Rica, Gerardo Martino took with him a relatively experienced squad to Venezuela, with Dario Veracruden, Claudio Morel Rodriguez, Carlos Bonet, Julio Manza, Paulo da Silva, Eliano Torres, Roque Santa Cruz and captain Julio Car copyright Car series all reappearing for the national team, and newcomers Enrique Vera, Oscar Cardoso and the Argentine-born Jonathan Santana were appearing for Paraguay in their first major tournaments. The competition also proved to be one of the last national team involvements from veteran Nelson Cuevas. Paraguay were drawn into Group C, alongside Argentina, Colombia, and the USA. In Paraguay's first fixture, they would defeat Colombia 5-0 after a hat-trick from Roque Santa Cruz and a double from Salvador Cabal ±as. In Paraguay's second fixture against the USA, Permil de Gar Barreto opened the scoring in the 29th minute just before the USA's Ricardo Clark would level the scores in the 35th minute. Paraguay would win the match 3-1 after a goal from Oscar Cardoso and a 92nd minute free kick from Salvador Cabal ±as would seal the game for the Albirroja. With both Paraguay and Argentina having obtained 6 points and qualifying from beyond their Group C, the two teams faced in their last group stage fixture with a less strengthened side, Roque Santa Cruz, Permil de Gar Barreto, Christian Riveros and Paulo da Silva all commencing on the bench as Nelson Cuevas would gain his first appearance of the competition and Aldo Barbadella would play a full 90 minutes of the fixture, replacing Justo Villa for the second time in the tournament. A 79th minute Javier Mascherano goal was enough to seal a 1-0 victory for Argentina, as Paraguay advanced to the knockout stages to face Mexico. Mexico had already beaten Brazil in the group stage and had finished in first place of their respective Group B with 7 points. After Paraguayan goalkeeper Aldo Barbadella had earned a straight red card in the 3rd minute, Paraguay conceded a penalty in the 5th minute and eventually found themselves down 3-0 at half-time. Mexico would score another 3 more goals, thrashing Paraguay 6-0 and ending their Copa América copyright Rica campaign. 2010 FIFA World Cup qualification. After a series of friendly matches, Paraguay commencing their 2010 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign with a 0-0 away draw against Peru in October 2007. 4 days later, a 14th-minute goal from Nelson Gerardo Valdez sealed a 1-0 home victory against Uruguay. Gerardo Valdez would open the scoring in Paraguay's next match, a 5-1 home victory against Ecuador in November, which saw Christian Riveros score a double and a goal each from Roque Santa Cruz and Nar copyrights to Ayala. In Paraguay's 4th and last World Cup qualifier of 2007, a double from defender Paulo da Silva, who scored both goals with his head from corner kicks, and a goal from Salvador Cabal ±as earned Paraguay a 3-0 away victory. The victory placed Paraguay in first position of the CONMEBOL table, having conceded just 1 goal in 4 matches and having obtained 10 points in 4 matches. Paraguay would eventually remain in first position of the CONMEBOL table for 9 consecutive rounds. In 2008, Paraguay continued preparing for their first World Cup qualification match of that year, playing out 5 matches by June 2008. On June 15, 2008, Paraguay defeated Brazil 2-0 at home with 10 men. Roque Santa Cruz opened the scoring in the 25th minute, latching onto an Permil de Gar Barreto corner and side-footing the ball into the net with his right foot. Dario Veracruden received his second yellow card of the match in the 47th minute and was subsequently sent off. However, 1 minute later, Nelson Hoedo had played Santa Cruz through and his shot was eventually blocked by Brazil's January Leo Car copyright czar and tapped into the net on the rebound by Salvador Cabal ± as who made it to a 0-0 in the 48th minute. By that stage, Paraguay had conceded just one goal in 5 rounds. 3 days later, Paraguay would lose for the first time in the qualification campaign, in a 4-2 away defeat against Bolivia in La Paz. Paraguay had been trailing to a 0-0 by half-time when Gerardo Martino made a double substitution when he brought on both Roque Santa Cruz and Nelson Hoedo Valdez for Salvador Cabal ± as and Oscar Cardoso in the 62nd minute. Both players managed to score in the second half, however, Bolivia eventually went on to win the match. By September, Paraguay traveled to Buenos Aires to face Argentina on September 6, 2008. In the 14th minute, Nelson Hoedo Valdez was played through on goal beside Argentine defender Gabriel Heinze. Argentine goalkeeper Roberto Abondancieri came out to the onrushing bouncing ball, only for Heinze, who intended to clear the ball, headed the ball into his own net as all 3 players collided. Carlos Tar copyright Vez received his second yellow card in the 30th minute and Argentina were down to 10 men. Sergio Aguirre levelled the scores in the 61st minute and 1-1 was how it finished. Days later, first-half goals from Christian Riveros and Nelson Hoedo Valdez were enough to seal a 2-0 home victory against Venezuela as Paraguay remained in first position of the CONMEBOL table. In October 2008, Paraguay would earn 2 1-0 victories against Colombia and Peru. The results keeping Paraguay in first place of the CONMEBOL table as 2008 concluded, having been defeated just once and having conceded just 6 goals in the entire qualification campaign. Paraguay's qualification campaign in 2009 commenced with a 2-0 away loss against Uruguay and a 1-1 away draw against Ecuador, which saw Paulo da Silva red-carded in the 84th minute and a Permil de Gia Benitez levelling the match in the 92nd minute in Quito. By June, Paraguay would suffer a 2-0 home defeat at the hands of Chile, and after having taken a 1-0 lead thanks to a 25th minute Salvador Cabal ± free kick, Paraguay were defeated 2-1 away against Brazil. In the last 4 matches of the qualification campaign, which 3 of the 4 fixtures would be played at home, Cabal ± as netted a first-half penalty to give Paraguay a 1-0 home victory against Bolivia on September 5, 2009. Qualification was secured in the next fixture against Argentina on September 9, when Salvador Cabal ± as had gone around 3 Argentine players and played Nelson Hoedo through on goal who scored with a left-footed shot in the 27th minute of the first half. By the 52nd minute of the match, Argentine Juan Sebastián Veracruden received his second yellow card of the match and Paraguay eventually won the fixture 1-0. The win against Argentina, who at the time were coached by Diego Maradona, was Paraguay's second official win over Argentina. In October, Paraguay concluded the qualification campaign with a 2-1 away victory against Venezuela and a 2-0 home loss against Colombia. Paraguay, who would have finished in first place of the CONMEBOL table had they not lost against Colombia, concluded the qualification campaign with 33 points, as Salvador Cabal ± as finished in 6th position of the leading goal scorers, having scored 6 goals. With the exception of round 1, Paraguay were positioned no lower than 3rd on the CONMEBOL table throughout the duration of the entire qualifying campaign. 2010 FIFA World Cup and 2011 Copa América, January 2010 assault on Salvador Cabal ± as, on January 2010, a tragic head injury suffered in an assault forced Salvador Cabal ± as to abandon football for an unspecified period of time, which gave him no chance of making the final 23-man squad for South Africa 2010. Cabal ± as was shot in the head inside the Bar nightclub in Mexico City early January 25, 2010 at 5 o'clock in the morning. Cabal ± as received medical attention during the early hours of January 25, 2010. Later on the day he was submitted to a craniotomy but doctors decided that it was too risky to proceed and the bullet was not extracted. According to his wife, he tried to react against a robbery, although this account is disputed by reports that the assault was the result of a taunting incident in the bar's bathroom. Mexican police confirmed that a drug dealer and member of the Beltran Leyva cartel called José copyright Balderas Gatza, alias JJ, was the man who shot him. Cabal ± left intensive care in late February and was hoping to fully recover in time for the FIFA World Cup 2010 but was not selected for the final Paraguay squad. Doctors dealing with Cabal ± have described his recovery so far as tremendous. However, it is announced he does have short-term memory loss and may not recover for another 1 to 3 years. He gave his first interview on March 12, 2010 in appreciation to all the people who prayed for him. In 2013, Cabal ± gave his version of the incident which stated that in his opinion the attack occurred so that he would not play at the 2010 FIFA World Cup and that Paraguay would not be crowned champions of the competition. 2010 FIFA World Cup. Prior to the 2010 FIFA World Cup, Lucas Barrios, an Argentine footballer of Paraguay descent, would change his nationality under FIFA regulations in order to represent the Albirroja at the tournament in South Africa. He would join Nestor Ortigoza and Jonathan Santana in being the third Argentine to be selected in Paraguay's 23-man squad for the tournament. Without Salvador Cabal ± Paraguay had played out 5 friendly matches in preparation for the tournament, with Lucas Barrios impressing up front after scoring in 3 consecutive matches out of the 5 friendlies played. Despite experiment with young players such as Marcelo Estigarribia, who had scored in Paraguay's first 2010 friendly against South Africa on March 31, and Herna N. Par copyright Res, Paraguay had a full-strength and experienced side with Roque Santa Cruz, a Permil de Gar Baratu, Carlos Bonet, Enrique Vera, Christian Riveros, Nelson Hoedo Valdez and Paulo da Silva, who are the majority of the players that featured in the tournament's qualifying campaign and were believed to have been at the best moment of their football careers. Paraguay had qualified for their 4th consecutive FIFA World Cup tournament, and the 2010 edition proved to be the second tournament for some players, the 3rd consecutive World Cup for Roque Santa Cruz, Carlos Bonet Justo Villa and Julio Car copyright Zarcases, and a record 4th consecutive World Cup for Dennis Caniza. The final squad, which consisted of 9 European-based players, were expected to advance to at least the round of 16 stage of the competition according to the Paraguayan media. However, defender Antolin Alcaraz believed that Paraguay had what was required to reach the semi-finals, and Nelson Hoedo Valdez also believed that the current generation was the one to go further than Paraguay had ever been before. Paraguay were drawn into Group F alongside world champions Italy, Slovakia and New Zealand. Paraguay would face Italy in their opening group stage match and would take a 1-0 lead in the 39th minute thanks to a header from Antolin Alcaraz, who latched onto a free kick to beat Gianluigi Buffon. Paraguay eventually drew 1-1 after conceding a goal in the second half. Paraguay faced Slovakia in their second group stage match and would score in the 27th minute of the first half when Enrique Vera would open the scoring in a run-of-play counter-attack on Slovakia. During the second half, Eliano Torres would deliver a free kick into Paraguay's attacking 18-yard box, where Christian Riveros would eventually find himself with the ball after receiving it from a Paulo da Silva header, and score from a 20-yard shot, just outside of the 18-yard box, in the 86th minute of the match to give Paraguay a 2-0 lead and eventual victory. The result placed Paraguay in first place of their respective group, with 4 points. In Paraguay's last group stage fixture, they would play out a 0-0 draw with New Zealand, and eventually finish in first place of Group F. Paraguay were drawn against Japan, who had finished as runners-up in Group E, at the round of 16 stage. The two sides faced each other at the Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria on June 29. After 120 minutes, the match was tied at 0-0 and eventually determined via a penalty shootout. A Permil de Gar Baratu, Lucas Barrios, Christian Riveros and Nelson Hoedo Valdez would score 4 straight penalties for Paraguay, as Japan's Yuiki Komano failed to convert one of Japan's 4 spot kicks. Oscar Cardozo, who had been substituted onto the field for Roque Santa Cruz in the 94th minute of the match, then stepped up to slot home Paraguay's fifth penalty to win the shootout at 5-3. The win meant that Paraguay had advanced beyond the round of 16 for the first time in the national team's history. The Albirroja were drawn against Spain, who had defeated Portugal at the round of 16, at the quarter-final stage of the tournament. The match was played on July 3 at the Ellis Park Stadium in Johannesburg in front of 55,359 spectators. Paraguay commenced the match with a strong line-up. Nelson Hoedo and Oscar Cardozo were partnered up front as Paulo da Silva, Dara Overacubden, Antolin Alcaraz and Claudio Morel Rodriguez formed a strong defense. The first half, which saw Nelson Hoedo score past Iker Casillas but having a goal ruled out for offside, concluded 0-0. The second half saw Oscar Cardozo, who was pulled down by Gerard Piqué copyright in Spain's penalty, fail to convert a penalty for Paraguay in the 59th minute, and 4 minutes later, Xabi Alonso also failed to convert a penalty for Spain in the 62nd minute, when David Villa was ruled by the referee to have been brought down by Antolin Alcaraz. Xabi Alonso stepped up to take the penalty kick and seemed to have scored, only for the referee to order it be retaken because of encroachment by a Spanish player into the penalty area before the kick was taken. Xabi Alonso's retake was saved by Paraguayan goalkeeper Justo Villa. Paraguay continued to attack when Roque Santa Cruz was substituted onto the field in the 73rd minute for Nelson Hoedo. However, Spain ultimately managed to take the lead in the 83rd minute when David Villa collected a rebounded shot off the post from Pedro, to score himself off the post. The goal turned out to be the winner for Spain in the 1-0 result, who would go on to be crowned as world champions after defeating Holland 1-0 in the final on July 11. The quarter-final appearance was recorded Paraguay's best-ever performance. After the match, Gerardo Martino stated that he would be leaving his position at the end of his contract. The Albirroja arrived back from South Africa on Monday 5 July 2010 at 3:30 a.m. Upon arrival, the entire national team was greeted by over 3,000 fans at the Silvio Pettirossi International Airport and were decorated by the then-president of Paraguay, Fernando Lugo. Gerardo Martino announced that he would take some time to decide his future, although the Paraguayan Football Association had offered him a 4-year contract to continue. Roque Santa Cruz also announced that the 2010 FIFA World Cup would be his last World Cup, but that he may continue to play one more international tournament, which would be the 2011 Copa América held in Argentina. After the tournament, the Albirroja would participate in 6 friendly matches, which would see the national team conclude 2010 on a positive note. 2011 Copa América. The Albirroja participated in 7 friendly matches prior to the 2011 Copa América would commence in July, where Paraguay were drawn into Group B with Brazil, Venezuela and Ecuador. Gerardo Martino included with him new players such as Marcos Casas, Marcelo Estigarribia, Hernan N. Par Res, Osvaldo Martinez, Pablo Zeballos and Ivan Pires, who were all participating in their first major competition at international level. The competition itself being held in Argentina was an advantage to Paraguay, due to the Paraguayan population in the host country. Paraguay would draw their opening group stage match 0-0 with Ecuador before facing the Copa América defending champions Brazil in their second group stage fixture. Paraguay would face Brazil on July 9 at the Estadio Mario Alberto Kempes in Ciudad de Oba. After trailing 1-0 at half-time, a cross was played through to Roque Santa Cruz from the wing as the striker side-footed the equalizer in the 54th minute. Santa Cruz was replaced by Gerardo Valdez in the 56th minute, and 10 minutes later Gerardo Valdez would score for Paraguay, giving them a 2-1 lead in the 66th minute. The scores were levelled 2-2 by Fred in the 89th minute, as Paraguay would settle for their second consecutive draw of the tournament. On July 13, Paraguay played out a 3-3 draw with Venezuela, in a match which saw goals from Antolin Alcaraz, Lucas Barrios and an 85th minute goal from Christian Riveros, which had Paraguay 3-1 in front. However, Venezuela would score in both the 89th and 92nd minute of the match to draw at 3-3. Paraguay concluded the group stage phase with 3 points from the matches, as the group's third-place finisher and the competition's second-best third-place finisher in the group stage. Paraguay were drawn against Brazil at the quarter-final stages, where the match was played at the Estadio Ciudad de la Plata on July 17. After a 0-0 after 120 minutes, which saw 2 red cards, the match was decided via a penalty shootout. Brazil failed to convert all of their 4 spot kicks as Paraguay, who had seen a Permil de Gar miss his spot kick, converted 2 out of their 3 penalties, when both Marcelo Estigarribia and Christian Rivera scored from the spot, to win the penalty shootout 2-0. Paraguay then faced Venezuela in the semi-final on July 20. Roque Santa Cruz, who was carrying an injury, had been substituted onto the field in the 73rd minute for Nelson Herrero, but then replaced in the 80th minute for Osvaldo Martinez. Jonathan Santana received his second yellow card of the match in the 102nd minute as the fixture ended 0-0 after extra time. Paraguay eventually won 5-3 via their second consecutive penalty shootout, which saw copyrights Ortigoza, Lucas Barrios, Christian Riveros, Osvaldo Martinez and Dario Veracubden score 5 out of their 5 spot kicks to send Paraguay to the 2011 Copa América Rica final. On July 24, Paraguay faced Uruguay in the 2011 Copa América Rica final. The fixture was played at River Plate's Estadio Monumental. It would be the first time that Paraguay would reach the final since the 1979 Copa América Rica, which was the year in which they obtained their second Copa América Rica title, as Paraguay had drawn 5 consecutive matches in order to make the final, without winning a single fixture. Paraguay suffered a difficult first half with Uruguay's Luis Suarez scoring in the 11th minute and Diego Forlán scoring in the 41st minute. Paraguay attacked with Nelson Herrero, who endured a full 90 minutes, playing up front as a centre-forward. Lucas Barrios, who had also acquired himself an injury, was substituted onto the field for Pablo Zeballos in the 76th minute, but damaged his hamstring in the last moments of the match. The match was decided in the 89th minute when Forlán scored for Uruguay to make it 3-0. Paraguayan goalkeeper Justo Villa was awarded as the best goalkeeper of the tournament. Roque Santa Cruz played no part in the fixture due to injury. Gerardo Martino resigned soon afterwards as coach of the Albirroja. 2011 and beyond. 2014 FIFA World Cup qualification. The 2014 FIFA World Cup qualification campaign proved to be one of the Albirroja's most unsuccessful campaign. Throughout the duration of the qualifiers, Paraguay's coaching position was modified 3 times in the space of the entire 24-month period. Since the departure of Gerardo Martino, Paraguay weren't able to exceed more than just a 4th place standing on the CONMEBOL table, which was reached in the 3rd round of the qualifiers. From round 4 until round 18 Paraguay were placed in 7th position or lower of the table, most notably sitting in bottom position for 8 rounds straight. Francisco Arce departed as coach in 2012, after a 3-1 away loss against Bolivia, and was replaced by Gerardo Veloso, who eventually departed in 2013, and Paraguay's under-20 team coach Victor Jeans would ultimately be in charge until the qualifiers were concluded. In round 13, Roque Santa Cruz scored in Paraguay's 2-1 home defeat against Chile on June 7, 2013. The goal brought his tally to 26, which made him the all-time leading goal scorer of the Paraguayan national team's history. Santa Cruz went on to score 2 more goals during the qualifiers, and also served as the national team captain for the last 4 fixtures of the campaign. Paraguay had defeated Bolivia 4-0 at home on September 6, 2013, in a bid to restore hope to at least reaching the playoffs of the qualifiers. However, 4 days later, a 5-2 defeat against Argentina would officially declare Paraguay's elimination from reaching the top 5 teams of the CONMEBOL table. Paraguay failed to qualify for a 3rd consecutive FIFA World Cup competition held inside its own continent. The qualification campaign officially proved to be the national team's worst. Managers, results and fixtures, recent and forthcoming matches, matches from the past 12 months as well as any future scheduled matches. See also 2013 Paraguay national team results. See also 2014 Paraguay national team results. 2013, 2014, AAAA a win, AAAA a draw, AAAA a loss, players. Current squad. The following players were named for the friendly matches against Cameroon on May 29, and France on June 1, 2014. Caps and goals current as of June 1, 2014. Recent call-ups. The following players have received a call-up within the past 12 months. Previous squads, records, as of June 1, 2014, players in bold are still active at international level. Tournament records, head-to-head. World Cup record. Denotes draws include knockout matches decided on penalty kicks. Copa América copyright Rica record. Gallery. See also, Paraguay women's national football team, Paraguay national under-23 football team, Paraguay national under-20 football team, Paraguay national under-17 football team, Paraguay national futsal team, football in Paraguay, references. External links, official site of the Paraguayan Football Association, RSSSF Archive of Results 1919 a Euro 2004, Planet World Cup Archive of Results in the World Cup, Planet World Cup Archive of Squads in the World Cup, Planet World Cup Archive of Results in the World Cup Qualifiers, Paraguayan football site.